So I want to start here and talk about anxiety. I call anxiety an experience because what anxiety is when you interact with energy and higher vibrational energy, when that energy connects with a negative belief system, it creates the experience of anxiety. And I call it an experience because the anxiety is not actually the emotion or the other energy. It's the interaction of these two things in contrast or in conflict with each other. So the actual emotion might be fear. The actual emotion might be lack, distrust, control. However, the other vibrational frequency is actually coming to pull you out of that. So what does this actually look like? Let's say you're stepping into let's use social anxiety first. Let's go there, right? In social anxiety, what's happening is you are stepping into a space where you're around other people. You're in a social atmosphere. In that social atmosphere, you are beginning to feel energies, vibrations, and frequencies that may be coming from other people, may be coming from the room, may be coming from things that you are interacting with in that space. If you have a belief system that interacting with energy is not real, then you have a negative belief system that conflicts with what you're experiencing. As a result, you view that experience negatively, i.e., anxiety. Now, if you have a belief system that other people's energy can inflict on you, when you feel other people's energy and you have that belief system, they conflict, i.e., anxiety. You may have a belief that people are out to control you, people view you negatively, you must conform to these social norms in order to be accepted in society. Again, your energy may not be aligned with that, and as a result, social anxiety. Now, let's just take anxiety in our everyday life. You are expanding into all that you are. You're expanding into a greater being beyond just the human being. You are integrating the human being into a larger self, which means things that were once acceptable as being human are no longer becoming acceptable. You are no longer fitting into the social class of society in the way that you once did, or the way that we once did. You are now bucking the trend, so to speak. You are stepping into greater expansion into all that you are, which is not where the masses are yet. However, we view, let's call it social death, humiliation, not fitting into what society says as a negative thing, as a overall type of subject. So when you expand and you view stepping out of the social class, the social norm negatively, those two things conflict. And as a result, you experience anxiety. Anxiety is not a negative thing. It is showing you that you have a conflicting belief to the energy which is flowing to you in that moment, and that energy generally is a higher vibrational frequency. It is an expansive energy. However, it is showing up, and you have a contracted belief which is causing you to feel the gap between this belief and this belief. Now, this happens in the mind. And the reason why I'm coming to the mind is because it's time to move beyond it. The mind is where these beliefs, patterns, habits, these social norms are held. And in the mind is limited to a singular or a human view, or what you have programmed it to be. The mind cannot move or see beyond into the expanded awareness, which is all of you, because the mind is here to keep you focused into this reality. So it is time to go beyond the mind. And how do we do this? We do this through things like imagination. We do this through things like releasing these beliefs and patterns. We do this through connecting with energy, playing with potentials and possibilities beyond the single stream or the dualistic view that we've been living in. It's accepting that energy is first. You are consciousness, not the mind, that then calls forth energy to work on your behalf. Energy is here to serve you as the conscious light being that you are projected into this form. As you accept these beliefs, as you play with imagination, you will move beyond the mind and the limitation that the mind holds on to. There is a teaching out there that everything is mind, but everything is not actually mind. Everything is actually consciousness. That's a misinterpretation of that teaching. If everything was the mind, then animals would have mind, plants would have mind, but they don't. They have consciousness. Rocks would have mind. They have consciousness. If you need to understand that the mind is something that we develop, look at a child. A child naturally has imagination, which is a part of consciousness, which is a part of light, which is part of energy. However, you have to teach a child to think, to focus, to have mind, collect beliefs, patterns, and habits of what it's like to be human, because they don't have a mind. They have to develop the mind. Everything is not mind, everything is consciousness. And consciousness is pure awareness. The reason why you can have a thought running through your mind and have a conflicting conscious understanding to that thought is because you are the consciousness, not the mind. So in stepping beyond the mind, you emerge into consciousness. You emerge into imagination. You emerge into creativity and creative flow, divinity, and divine creation, magic, mastery, and divine creation. Allowing yourself to take this step will actually eliminate the anxiety. And how do you take this step? You start looking at those beliefs that have been negative, or those beliefs that you view as, even if it's positive, is serving you negatively because it's conflicting with where you're trying to head, where you're trying to go. So, to solve anxiety, you must get beyond the mind. To get beyond the mind, you must understand that you are consciousness. You are a light being projecting into human form. You have a mind, you are not the mind. You can imagine, you could sense, you can know. You have emotions. And one of the interesting things about this move is it brings up emotions and it brings up energy to be felt, which we feel, let's call it, as emotions. And as a result, you can reconcile these energies to move them into higher frequencies. With that said, we view being emotional as negative. So when we experience this energy, what do we experience? Anxiety. It's time to move beyond the mind. It's time to allow the mind to rest. Because in its resting state, it merges with the heart. It merges with the consciousness. It merges with the fullness of your being. And the mind becomes a tool to be used how you want to use it, rather than the only way we are designed to function.